Hello students, my name is Manjeet Singh and today we are going to discuss the reading The Rocket from East to West. Okay, and this is from Cambridge Book 3, Test 1 and Passage 1. And let's have first question. Actually मैं सारे क्वेश्चन पहला ही मार्क कर लेने कितों हैगे ने. And our first question is, okay, this is all about headings, and this is from para B, and the answer is 4. Okay, underdeveloped for centuries. And the first question lies in para B, and which is in from the first line. Okay, in para B from first line, and an intellectual breakthrough, brilliant though it may be, does not automatically ensure that the transition is made from theory to practice. And what they are saying in this para is, ठीक है, of course वो intellectual breakthrough है, brilliant भी है, but वो automatically ये ensure नहीं करता भी transition जो है थोड़ी theory to practice ਵਿੱਚ ਚਲੀ ਜਾਊਗੀ. ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਚੀਜ਼ imagine ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਚੀਜ਼ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ, it doesn't mean ਵੀ ਉਹ theory to practice ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾਲ ਦੀ ਨਾਲ ਚਲੀ ਜਾਊਗੀ. ਉਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ work ਕਰਨਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ. And despite the fact that rockets had been used sporadically for several hundred years, हाँ जी, of course rockets ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ use ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਸੀਗੇ sporadically, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, for several hundred years. sporadically means ਹੁੰਦਾ ਵੀ ਕਿਤੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਸੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਫਿਰ ਅੱਗੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ. and they remain are relatively minor artifacts of civilization until the 20th century. ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਕੀ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, ਮਾਈਨਰ ਆਰਟੀਫੈਕਟ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਸਿਵਲਾਈਜੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੱਕ, अपनी सिविलाइजेशन दे 20th सेंचुरी तक. ठीक है, एंड जो इन्होंने कल कही है दैट इज द अंडर डेवलप फॉर सेंचुरीज. दैट मीन्स टिल 20th सेंचुरी, ठीक है, दीज आर्टिफैक्ट्स आर जस्ट माइनर आर्टिफैक्ट. सॉरी, second one आंसर इज फर्स्ट, हाउ द रिएक्शन प्रिंसिपल वर्क्स. एंड यही आंसर बहुत ही ज़्यादा सौखा सी. एंड दिस इज इन द फर्स्ट पैरा, C para, first line. A simple analogy can help us to understand how a rocket operates, and then they discuss about how it works. Okay, and answer lies in just first line. You don't need to go through with the whole para. And most of the time, the answers of headings lies in the first line itself. And the third one is, okay, third one is in the answer of the third one is fifth. Okay, fifth heading, and this is the first rockets. Okay, well, first of all, they discuss about the black powder, okay, which is linked to the rocket, the invention of rocket. And this is in the first line. Okay, the invention of rocket is linked inextricably with the invention of black powder. अच्छा, जो black powder ना, ठीक है, इन्वेंशन हुई होंगी तो रॉकेट कदे बन ही नहीं सकता सीगा, ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬੁਰੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਲਿੰਕ ਹੈ. ਐਂਡ ਮੋਸਟ ਹਿਸਟੋਰੀਅਨਸ ਆਫ ਟੈਕਨੋਲੋਜੀ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਕ੍ਰੈਡਿਟ ਦ ਚਾਈਨੀਜ਼ ਵਿਦ ਡਿਸਕਵਰੀ. ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਕਿਹਨੂੰ ਕ੍ਰੈਡਿਟ ਦੇ ਰਿਹਾ? ਚਾਈਨੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਦੇ ਰਿਹਾ, ਬਿਕੋਜ਼ ਚਾਈਨੀਜ਼ ਸੀਗੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਖੋਜ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀਗੀ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੀ. ਐਂਡ ਦੈਨ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਪੈਰਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਡੀ ਪੈਰਾਗ੍ਰਾਫ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੈਕਿੰਡ ਲਾਸਟ ਲਾਈਨ ਪੜ੍ਹੋਗੇ ਫਸਟ ਪੇਜ 'ਤੇ, ਤਾਂ ਉਸ 'ਤੇ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਦ ਚਾਈਨੀਜ਼ ਰਿਲਾਈਡ ਔਨ ਦਿਸ ਟਾਈਪ ਆਫ ਟੈਕਨੋਲੋਜੀ ਡਿਵਲਪਮੈਂਟ to produce incendiary projectiles. Incendiary is related to projectile, बारूद ਨਾਲ related कुछ चीज़ां होंदियां ने ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ, ठीक है, of many sorts, like explosive grenades, possibly cannons to repel the enemy. ठीक है, the enemy ਨੂੰ ਭਜਾਉਣ ਲਈ. And the next one is in actually the answer of next one is 7th. ठीक है, rockets for military use. And they clearly mentioned that they use rockets for military use, and this is an E paragraph, and especially Indians used it, okay, against the Britishers. They mention it in the para. And I think you should go through from the first line. Okay, it was not until the 18th century that Europe became seriously interested in the possibilities of using rocket itself, okay, as a weapon of war, not just to propel other weapons, ਦੂਜੇ ਵੈਪਨਸ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਪੈਲ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਨਹੀਂ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਜੈਕਟਾਈਲਸ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰਦਾ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਬਾਹੂਬਲੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਉਹ ਸਿੱਟਣ ਲਈ. ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਦ ਫਸਟ ਪਾਰਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਦੋਂ ਵਾਰ ਹੋਈ ਸੀਗੀ. ਐਂਡ prior to this, rockets were used only in pyrotechnic displays and the incentives for the more aggressive use of rocket, okay, came not from within the European continent but from faraway India, whose leaders had built up a corps of rocketeers and used rockets. इन्होंने यूज किए सी रॉकेट्स किन्हों के खिलाफ सक्सैसफुली अगेंस्ट द ब्रिटिश इन द लेट 18th सेंचुरी, बट ਉਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਛੋਟੇ ਸੀਗੇ। ਆਫ ਕੋਰਸ ਦੇ ਯੂਜ਼ਡ ਇਟ। ਉਹ ਰਾਕਟ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਉਹ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੀ ਜਾਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਬਸ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਡਰਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਸੀ, ਭਜਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ। ਮੇ ਬੀ ਲੈ ਵੀ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੁਣ, ਕੋਈ ਇਸ 'ਚ ਕਲੈਰਿਟੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਮੈਨੂੰ, ਓਕੇ। ਐਂਡ ਦ ਫਿਫਥ ਪੈਰਾ, sorry, the fifth question, I'm sorry, actually this is my first video and that's why I'm little bit nervous and I'm making mistakes actually, not the nervous. Okay, the greatest outcome of discovery of the reaction principle was that space travel became a reality. Space travel reality बन सकी क्योंकि रॉकेट करके, ठीक है, सच जो रॉकेट की खोज यूज़ करके। एंड actually they mention it in all the paras, but let's go through from the first para. However, it was until the discovery of the reaction principle, जो reaction principle की खोज हुई, which was the key to space travel and so represents one of the great milestones in the history of scientific thought, that rocket technology was able to develop. Okay, ये develop हो सकती है। And the next one, okay, the next one is in sixth para, in which the question is, according to text, okay, the greatest progress in rocket technology was made from the late 19th century to the present day. Okay, late 19th century to the present day ਜਿਹੜਾ ਚੱਲਿਆ ਹੈਗਾ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ। ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ। ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੇਖੋ ਇਹ ਕਾਫੀ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਸਪੋਰੈਡਿਕਲੀ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਮਤਲਬ ਸੌਰੀ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਇੱਧਰ ਉੱਧਰ ਸਿੱਟ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਆਨਸਰ ਨੂੰ। ਹੁਣ ਇੱਥੇ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਗਈ ਵੀ ਰਿਐਕਸ਼ਨ ਪ੍ਰਿੰਸੀਪਲ ਸਟਾਰਟ ਹੋਇਆ ਇਹ ਪੈਰਾਗ੍ਰਾਫ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਐਂਡ ਦੈਨ ਦ ਕੀ ਟੂ ਸਪੇਸ ਟਰੈਵਲ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਹੈਗਾ ਮਾਈਲਸਟੋਨ ਉਹ ਸੈੱਟ ਹੋ ਪਾਇਆ ਕਿਹਦੀ ਕਰਕੇ, ਜੋ ਕਿ ਡਿਵੈਲਪਮੈਂਟ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਟੈਕਨੋਲੋਜੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਰॉकेट ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਐਂਡ ਦੈਨ ਦੇ ਡਿਸਕਸ ਇਨ ਦ ਬੀ ਪੈਰਾਗ੍ਰਾਫ ਐਨ ਇੰਟੈਲੈਕਚੁਅਲ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਥਰੂ, ਫਸਟ ਲਾइन, brilliant though it may be does not automatically ensure that the transition is made from theory to practice, despite the fact that rockets had been sporadically used for several hundred years. They remained a relatively minor artifacts of civilization until the 20th century. 20th century ਦਾ ਆਉਣ ਤੱਕ ਉਹ ਜਸਟ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਮਾਈਨਰ ਆਰਟੀਫੈਕਟ ਸੀਗੇ। ਐਂਡ ਦੈਨ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਲਾਸਟ ਪੈਰਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਡਿਸਕਸ ਕੀਤਾ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਲਿਖਿਆ, since then there have been huge developments in rocket technology and often with devastating results in the forum of war. Nevertheless, the modern day space programs owe their success to the humble beginnings of those in previous centuries. ठीक है, जो भी previous centuries की गल कर रहे हैं, जिसमें 18th century से sporadically use हो रहा है, 19th century ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ, but they come into theory to practice in which year, ठीक है, in which century, that is 20th century, when they seriously begin their task, or they start using rocket technology, okay, to do something else rather than just displaying their art. Okay, and then nevertheless the modern day space programs owe their success to the humble beginnings of their those in previous centuries. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Seventh para, okay, who made this develop this, okay, these things, the rocket for display? A, of course, Chinese are the ones, those use it for display. And then seventh one, black powder. Black powder is linked to, okay, the Chinese. This is in D paragraph. The invention of rockets is linked inextricably with the invention of black powder. Okay? Most historians of technology credit the Chinese with its discovery. Of course, they are the one who discovered it. Okay, Chinese. This is in D paragraph. First lines. Okay, eighth question. Rocket propelled arrows for fighting. Of course, they also used it against the their enemies. Okay, this is in the from the D paragraph, first page, last two lines. तो start कर लो, ठीक है। Rocket propelled arrows for fighting जो use किए गए थे, ये Chinese ने किए थे। Okay, the Chinese relied on this type of technological development to produce incendiary projectiles of many sorts. काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें ये करते थे। Explosive grenades, possibly cannons to repel their enemies, and one such weapon was the basket of fire, which they are mentioning. Okay, or as directly translated from Chinese, the arrows like flying leopards. Okay, they used it against the enemies. And then the next one, 10th, the rocket launcher. Okay? The rocket launcher, sorry, rockets as war weapons. Okay? The ninth one, which is from India. We already mentioned it, okay, in the question 4, and this is an E paragraph. Okay, you can read from the start, but they particularly mention from the third line that prior to this, rockets were used only in pyrotechnic displays, and the incentives for those for the more aggressive use of rockets came not from within the European continent but from far away India, whose leaders had built up a corps of rocketeers and used rockets successfully against the British in the late 19th 18th century. Sorry. Okay, and the next one, 10th, the rocket launcher. Who used it? The rocket launcher, and this is kind of E para. Okay? The Americans. The Americans used it, and this is an E para, and E para last 6 lines. You can read from the last 6 lines. The Americans, from here, the Americans developed a rocket complete with its own launcher to use against the Mexicans in the mid 19th century. Okay, Americans are the ones जिन्हों ने यूज किया सी रॉकेट लॉन्चर, ठीक है, ताकि उन्होंने propel कर सकन उस चीज़ नाल. Yes, they are using projectiles, some kind of incendiary projectiles, the Chinese one, but the rocket launcher, जो proper rocket launcher use किया सी, Americans ने किया सी. Okay. 11th one, the Chinese basket of fire. We already mentioned it, okay, on the second page, I think in the second or third line. This is written in the second or third line. ਉਹਦੇ ਚ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ, ठीक है, basket of fire. बट ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਛਾਣਨਾ ਕਿਵੇਂ? ਡਾਇਗਰਾਮਸ ਨੂੰ ਪਛਾਣਨਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਓਕੇ. ਬਟ ਦ ਡਾਇਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਮੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਐਰੋਜ਼ ਦਾ ਸਾਈਜ਼, ਇੱਕ ਆਹ ਸਾਈਜ਼ ਆਪਾਂ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਮੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਨਾ. ਹੁਣ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲੀ ਮੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਹੈਗਜ਼ਾਗਨਲ ਸੀਗਾ. ਹੈਗਜ਼ਾਗਨਲ ਸੀ, ਦੈਟ ਮੀਨਸ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਦੋ ਹੀ ਹੋਏ ਹੈਗਜ਼ਾਗਨਲ. ਹੁਣ ਦੋਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਚੁਣਨਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਵੀ ਕੈਨ ਮੇਜਰ ਦ ਐਰੋਜ਼, ਲਾਈਕ ਇੱਥੇ ਐਰੋ 1 ਮੀਟਰ ਦਾ, ਉੱਥੇ 1 ਮੀਟਰ ਤੋਂ ਘੱਟ ਹੈ. ਦੈਟ ਮੀਨਸ ਦੋਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ. ਐਂਡ ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪਛਾਣਾਂਗੇ ਕਿਵੇਂ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ. एंड दिस इज इन सेकंड पेज, ठीक है, सेकंड पेज की थर्ड लाइन तो पढ़ो. लिखा है द 0.7 मीटर लॉन्ग एरोस, और ऊपर लिखा है बास्केट ऑफ फायर, जो मैं ऑलरेडी मेंशन कर चुके हैं, लाइक एरोस लाइक फ्लाइंग लेपर्ड्स. एंड द 0.7 मीटर लॉन्ग एरोस ईच विद अ लॉन्ग ट्यूब ऑफ गन पाउडर अटैच्ड नियर द पॉइंट ऑफ ईच एरो एंड कुड बी फायर्ड फ्रॉम अ लॉन्ग ऑक्टागनल शेप्ड, सॉरी मैं हेक्सागनल कह रहा सी, ऑक्टागनल शेप्ड basket at the same time and had a range of 400 paces. Okay, I don't know about the paces, that what type of units they are mentioning, but 0.7 meter long arrows. And here the B, the option B consists 0.7 meter long arrows because these are the 1 meter arrows. Okay, then second one, 12th, the Arab egg which moves and burns. देखो अरब एग्स की खास गल हुई सी, ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲੀ ਮੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਦੋ ਸਾਈਡ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਕੁਝ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਸਟੇਬਲ ਰੱਖਦਾ. ਰੌਕਟਸ ਲੱਗੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਪੈਲ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਿਆ ਸਮਾਨ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਫਾਇਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਉਹ. ਐਂਡ ਦਿਸ ਇਜ਼ ਇਨ ਲਾਸਟ 3 ਲਾਈਨਸ ਆਫ ਪੈਰਾ ਡੀ, ਸੈਕੰਡ ਪੇਜ. ਐਟ ਅ ਸਿਮਿਲਰ ਟਾਈਮ ਦ ਅਰਬਸ ਹੈਡ ਡਿਵੈਲਪਡ ਦ ਐਗ ਵਿਚ ਮੂਵਸ ਐਂਡ ਬਰਨਸ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੂਵ ਕਰਦਾ ਬਰਨ ਕਰਦਾ. And this egg was apparently full of gunpowder. एक ही है egg जो है full है gunpowder ना, and stabilized by 1.5 meter tail, and it was fired using 2 rockets attached to either side of the tail. And this is the only one who is having the rockets on the either side of the the long bamboo. I don't know, that was the bamboo or some kind of iron rod or something like this. Okay. The 13th one, the Indian rocket. And this is, I think, the most difficult part because we need to choose from the one, okay, which one is the Indian rocket. And okay, let's try to read it. Okay, first, an Indian rocket described here, I think here, this is 13th one. Okay, 13th one is from the from the third line. Start reading from the third line. Prior to this, rockets were used only in pyrotechnic displays, and the incentives for the more aggressive use of rockets came not from within the European continent but from far away India, and whose leaders had built up a corps of rocketeers and used rockets successfully against the British in the 18th century ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਯੁੱਧਾਂ ਦੇ ਖਿਲਾਫ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਨੇ 18th century ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਦੇ ਖਿਲਾਫ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਇੰਡੀਅਨਸ ਨੇ and the Indian rocket used against the British were described ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਕਿਨੇ by a British captain serving in India as an iron envelope है छोटा जा ठीक है about 200 meters long 200 millimeters long sorry that means that's like 20 centimeter okay and I think 20 centimeter okay let's read again ठीक है 200 millimeters long and 440 millimeters in diameter with sharp points at the top with a point at a sharp and 3-meter long bamboo guiding the stick. That means we need to look for the bamboo. Okay, 3-meter long bamboo. I think this is the 3-meter long bamboo, 2 to 5. Okay, other ones are bigger. Okay, and this is also the smaller or bigger. I think this one the G one. G is the answer. No. Actually, the diagrams here are some kind of wrong, I think. They are misprinted. Okay. I think I have to check the other readings. Okay. The prints. Okay. 14th. The British barrage rocket. Okay. Sorry. It's correct. It's already correct. The F1. Okay. I was confused. Okay. The 3-meter long bamboo here this is in F paragraph. Sorry, not the F paragraph, the F option. 14th, the British barrage rocket. Okay, and this is described here. Okay, actually the wider one. This is the wider one, and the bamboo is too long. I think it's longer than the Indian one, and this is also mentioned in the I think from the second, third, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, ninth line. From the ninth line. In the early 19th century, the British began to experiment with incendiary barrage rockets. उन्होंने start करता सीगा rockets से नाल experiment करना, and the British rocket differed from the Indian version in that it was completely encased in a stout. I don't know what stout is. It's kind of a, I think it's a hard coating. Okay, iron cylinder terminating in a conical head. Okay, of course conical head and measuring 1 meter in diameter. Okay, 1 meter in diameter, the upper part, and having a stick almost 5 meters long and constructed in such a way that it could be firmly attached to the body of the rocket. Okay, this one G1 has the 5-meter long bamboo, I think, attached with the upper part, and they launched it. Okay, and this is our reading, guys, and if you have any doubts, please tell me in the comments. I'll try to resolve it, and have a good day.